Good morning! Hello! Hello! Good morning! Hello! Cuckoo!
Good morning, boys and girls, on this very, very cold Wednesday morning. I hope you're all keeping nice and warm coming to school this week. We do have a few more of these cold days lying ahead of us, so make sure you're nice and warm, please. We are now in week 10 of our term. I am seeing some amazing things happening in your classrooms. It tells me that you're learning new and exciting things every day. I'm sure you're making yourselves very proud. You're certainly making me very proud. So can I ask you to please keep that up? Right, as always, I would like to begin by mentioning the children who've had a birthday this week. In reception B, we've had Summer, Standard 1B, Jessica, Kotso in 2A, Rayhan and Cartier in 3B, and Tebe in 3C. Happiest of birthdays to each one of you. I hope you've had a wonderful day celebrating with your families. This morning, I'm going to read the story called Tyrannosaurus Drip, written by Julia Donaldson and illustrated by David Roberts. In a swamp beside a river, where the land was thick with veg, lived a herd of duck-bill dinosaurs who roamed the water's edge. And they hooted, "Up with rivers," and they hooted, "Up with reeds," and they hooted, "Up with bellyfuls of juicy water weeds." Now across the rushy river, on a hill the other side, lived a mean Tyrannosaurus with his grim and grisly bride. And they shouted, "Up with hunting," and they shouted, "Up with war," and they shouted, "Up with bellyfuls of duck-bill dinosaur." But the two Tyrannosauruses, so grisly, mean and grim, couldn't catch the duck-bill dinosaurs because they couldn't swim. And they they muttered, "Down with water," and they muttered, "Down with wet," and they muttered, "What a shame that bridges aren't invented yet." Now we're little Compsognathus, but for short we'll call her Comp, found a duck-bill egg and stole it from the nest beside the swamp. And she swam with it and ran with it and murmured, "Clever me, and won't the baby Comps be thrilled with a duck-bill egg for tea?" She dropped the egg in terror and went running for her life from the mean Tyrannosaurus and his grim and grisly wife. And the duck-bill egg went rolling, and at last it came to rest in, of all unlucky places, the Tyrannosaurus nest. Now the mother T had great big jaws and great enormous legs, but her brain was rather little, and she couldn't count her eggs. And she sang, "Hatch out, my terrors, with your scaly little tails, and your spiky little toothies, and your scary little nails." Out hatched babies 1 and 2, as perfect as could be. But Mother T was horrified by baby number 3, and she grumbled, "He looks weedy," and she grumbled, "He looks weak," and she grumbled, "What long arms! And look, his mouth is like a beak." "He just needs feeding up," said Dad, and gave the babe some meat. The first two gulped and guzzled, but the third refused to eat. And he said, "I'm really sorry." And he said, "I simply can't." And he said, "This meat looks horrible. I'd rather eat a plant." "A plant?" yelled Mom in horror, and Dad said, "Get a grip." His sisters found a name for him, Tyrannosaurus Drip, and they shouted, "Up with hunting!" And they shouted, "Up with war!" And they shouted, "Up with bellyfuls of duck-bill dinosaur!" Poor Tyrannosaurus Drip tried hard to sing along, but the others yelled, "You silly Drip, you've got the words all wrong." For he hooted, "Down with hunting!" And he hooted, "Down with war!" And he hooted, "Down with bellyfuls of duck-bill dinosaur!" Drip's sisters soon grew big enough to hunt with Dad and Mum, but they turned on Drip and told him, "You're not fierce enough to come." And he cried, "They've gone without me." And he cried, "Alakaday." And he cried, "This doesn't feel like home. I'm going to run away." So he ran off to the river, where he saw a lovely sight, a herd of duck-bill dinosaurs all hooting with delight. And they hooted, "Up with rivers!" And they hooted, "Up with reeds!" And they hooted, "Up with bellyfuls of juicy water weeds!" As he stood there on the bank, a sudden urge took hold of him, and he jumped into the water and discovered he could swim. And the duckbills came to greet him by the rushy river's edge, and they hooted, "Nice to see you!" And they hooted, "Have some veg!" And Drip, who was delighted that they hadn't run away, ate bellyfuls of water weeds and played with them all day. Then he gazed into the river and he asked them, "Who, oh who, is that creature in the water?" And they laughed and said, "It's you." That night the lightning crackled and a storm blew down a tree, and it fell across the river, and the tees cried out, "Yippee!" And they shouted, "Up with hunting!" And they shouted, "Up with war!" And they shouted, "Up with bellyfuls of duck-bill dinosaur!" Drip's sisters stepped onto the bridge, but then began to frown. For there in front of them stood Drip, who yelled, "Look out! Look down!" They looked into the water, and they each let out a yelp, and one cried, "Water monsters!" and the other one cried, "Help!" Their mother scolded them, "Nonsense!" and she joined them on the tree. Then she looked into the water and exclaimed, "Good gracious me!" The three of them stood trembling, and Dad said, "Get a grip. You're all as drippy as Tyrannosaurus Drip." And he strode onto the bridge and scoffed, "I bet there's nothing there." Then he looked into the water and he jumped into the air. And how the duckbills hooted when he landed with a crash, and the tree bridge broke, and 4 Tyrannosauruses went splash. And spluttering and clinging to the branches of the tree, they went whooshing down a waterfall and all the way to sea. And the duckbills hooted happily. They hooted, "Hip, hip, hip! Hooray for the heroic one and only Duckbill Drip." The end. Right, boys and girls, thank you for listening to the story so beautifully. I'd like to end off our assembly with a couple of announcements. The first one is that on Friday is pajama day. All right, so you can come to school wearing your warm, cozy pajamas all day long. It's going to be really fun. Make sure you're nice and warm though. It's going to be lovely to see all our friends and our teachers wearing their pajamas. I can't wait to see that. The second thing is that there is no school on Monday and Tuesday. You're having a long weekend, President's Weekend. So you've got 4 days at home to keep nice and warm and have a little rest, okay, before school starts again next week, Wednesday. And the third thing I would like to say is I want you to all stand up, push your chairs in, and the last song I'm going to play is one where I need you to do all the actions, okay? That's going to help you warm up for the day and really get your bodies moving. And I want you to have a wonderful day, enjoy your long weekend, and we will see each other again next Wednesday. Okay? Have a lovely day, everybody. Bye-bye.